there's a culture in the league that you keep everything in-house. But for me, you know, last year, I just felt like when we're going on 10 years, 10 years in the league, it's time to get it. And I felt like I was the only one in the organization that had the Weibos to hold him accountable. We didn't talk during the year much. We still haven't talked. And that's sad. That's sad. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the league that had more chemistry than us. I don't know if he's been hit too many times, just been beat, because you got to think about it. He's one of the most hit quarterbacks ever. And that can take a toll on you.
That was Brandon Marshall yesterday on our show from Jets camp. Of course, he's with the New York Jets now. He did a fantastic job on the show, but he mentioned he was the only one to hold Jay Cutler accountable. Now that you've had a day to digest all his comments, Stephen A., your reaction or any new thoughts?
Well, I don't really have any new thoughts. It's just that my old thoughts have been punctuated and accentuated significantly. I think that Jay Cutler is an absolute joke prior to yesterday, and I think the same right now. If it sounds derogatory, a bit insidious to some people, get over it. I don't care. Jay Cutler is one of the worst people to be a quarterback in the NFL that I have ever seen. He's horrible, and it has nothing to do with his talent. In fact, it's because of his talent. That's what makes him even worse, because all the requisite skills are there. There isn't a throw that he can't make. His arm strength can rival anyone's in the NFL. He can make every throw. He's capable of winning. He's got all the requisite skills and talents. His IQ is not bad, okay? The bottom line is that I have repeatedly stated he doesn't care. And when you are the quarterback of a team who has missed the playoffs in 7 of the last 8 years, when you are a quarterback in the NFL as a starter, you know, more than 9 years in the league, more than 8 to 9 years in the league, and you've got 1 playoff victory on your resume, but your talent says you are not a scrub, then you know what you are? You're a loser. You're a loser because you're not a scrub. See, if you're a scrub, then you're a scrub. It's like you can't play. And, I mean, God bless you. Hey, you can't play. And that's not anybody's fault. You can only do what you can do. But when you can play, and when everyone is depending on you, and you take the money, and then you still don't care, you're just pathetic. You're a loser. And that's what Jay Cutler is. That's right, I said it. He's horrible. And in the end, listen, Brandon Marshall wasn't going to say this to us. But I told Brandon Marshall yesterday, and I told him many times in the past, I've had numerous players come up to me. They say to me that Jay Cutler, first of all, when I came up, when I told you, Skip, we understand and we were sensitive to the fact that he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and people said that influenced his mood swings. I tried to give him a pass on that until I saw him smiling ear to ear once he signed his new contract. I brought that up on many times in the past. But I've had players say to me, the coach would get on him or a player would get on him, then he'd throw incomplete passes on purpose. He would sit up there, and he was clearly not focused. They stopped just shy of saying he was actually throwing games. But what they said was he clearly didn't care, and they felt like they were leaderless. That's like a ship without a captain. That's like an airplane without a pilot. You understand? That's like everybody in the passenger seat with no damn driver. That's the Chicago Bears, all right? And that's the Chicago Bears because of one man and one man only. Yes, he may have had 5 different offensive coordinators, and that does not help. But in the end, Jay Cutler does not have the heart to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. It ain't because he's scared. It's not because he's not tough. It's certainly not because he's not skilled. It's because at the end of the day, you can find 52 other guys on a roster with him that care more than he does. That's his problem.
I can't disagree with the word you just uttered. And I appreciate the fact that a day after Brandon Marshall sat right there and lit it up, that you feel even stronger about what a disgrace Jay Cutler has been in the National Football League. Obviously, he went to my school, Vanderbilt, so I defended him as long as I could. I'll defend him slightly here. I'm not going to dismiss him as a loser. He's just not a winner. Is that fair? Because some guys are just flat-out losers, and he's not there to me. He's just not a winner because I think he never cared about winning. Go ahead.
That's where my definition of loser is different than yours.
All right.
See, if somebody is not good enough and they don't have it, but they try and they try and they try hard, I don't consider them losers. I just think they're not winners because they're not good enough. In Jay Cutler's case, he is good enough but doesn't care enough, and that to me makes you a loser.
So allow me to confess. This is where I missed the point and ultimately the boat on my man Jay Cutler. As I told you yesterday, I came into this show back in its cold pizza days when Jay Cutler was a junior at Vanderbilt University, and I would say, guys, you have no idea how good this kid is, this quarterback at perennial SEC doormat Vanderbilt. And they would hoot and holler and laugh me off the set. No, you don't understand. He's 6'3", 225. He will run over SEC linebackers from Tennessee or Georgia or Florida, and I missed the boat. Because in those days, this is what Jay Cutler became. He became such a talent. Remember, he was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year his senior year at Vanderbilt because all he needed to do was light it up individually, statistically, and winning was not expected because nobody expected Vanderbilt to go to Florida his senior year and win. But what happened? Jay Cutler lit it up at Florida that year. He put up some big numbers and some highlight plays. He made the Gators sweat at home. He made them rally. But they won the game because Jay Cutler in the end was never conditioned or pushed to be a winner. He got drafted with the 11th overall pick for which Mike Shanahan traded up. And yet he gets the big dollars and nobody really expected him to be a big winner. So again and again, people bought into the fool's gold that was Jay Cutler's talent because you and I agree, boy, what a cannon. I think he has a high football IQ. He just doesn't really care. If I throw an interception, what the hell? If we lose it, what the hell? I've got a wife I love. I've got kids now. I've got a huge franchise quarterback contract that they gave me again. And does winning really, has it ever mattered to Jay Cutler? No, because nobody made him. Like if you get pushed to the brink of you're going to be out of this league if you don't make the playoffs this year, but do you think he ever feared being pushed out of the league? Not one time.
Skip, understand what you're saying here. When you bring up how he performed at Vanderbilt, individual stats, individual exploits, put on display, elevates your marketability, and positions you to get paid.
That's right.
I have repeatedly said to you, since he has been a pro, which means he gets paid to play, how many times have we seen Jay Cutler smile? Once. When he was getting that new fat contract. That's all he cares about. I would surmise, I would say to you, my belief, and all I have is a belief, I would say to you, my belief is that Jay Cutler showed up in his senior year and balled the way that he balled at Vanderbilt because he was trying to get paid. If this were a contract year, I have no doubt Jay Cutler will perform because he's trying to get paid. But if this were almost any other athlete, we would sit there and talk about how they got their money and then after that they tanked it, they wet the bed. But for some reason, we're giving Jay Cutler a pass. Jay Cutler doesn't deserve the pass. I said he's a loser, and I stand by it. It ain't because of his ability. It's because he doesn't give a damn. And to me, that's what losers are truly made of, the ones who don't give a damn because they got their money. If this was one of them NBA players, if this was one of those MLB players, hell, if it were a hockey player, you'd see them getting raked through the coals. The city of Chicago is no longer hoodwinked by Jay Cutler.
No,
they know what they have. They know he's a loser. They know he's not committed. They know he doesn't want it as bad as they do. And the only reason they tolerate him is because they're stuck with him, because they know that the Chicago Bears are cap strapped and they have no choice but to keep him. If it wasn't for that, you'd see the city of Chicago go up to Soldier Field or wherever the hell their practice facility is, and they'd sit up there and carry Jay Cutler outside of city limits their damn self because they can't stand him either. This dude is pathetic, and I said it, and it needs to be said because he's stealing money. He's stealing money from the Bears, and he's embarrassing the city of Chicago. And Brandon Marshall, God bless him for being honest enough to speak some semblance of the truth, because there's a whole bunch of dudes. I'm telling you, I ain't asking you. And once again, Stephen A. Hurd, let me be clear. I have been told far worse than what Brandon Marshall said on television by various bears inside that locker room. And I've been told it for the last 2 years and counting. They want him gone in a worse way. They just know they're stuck with him. And I feel sorry for his teammates, for his sorry self, because he's a loser.
I am so with you. And when you talk about that word balling in the new school way, there were so many times I wanted to see Jay Cutler ball in the old school way. One time after one big loss, I wanted to see him cry, as in bawl your eyes out. I don't think he's capable of it. I just think he goes home and says, what the hell?
I got my money.
Yeah.
I got my money. It happens.
Family.
But you know what? Who knows? A miracle could happen. I actually hope he plays well this year.
New coach.
Because, listen, Fox is there.
Yep.
You know, you got a new GM there as
Adam
well.
Gase.
Adam
Yep.
Gase is your new offensive coordinator. I'm just praying because I know a few brothers in that locker room, and I know how hard they work and how bad they want it.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that Jay Cutler does them justice by doing something for them. But I told them to their face, I doubt it. I stopped believing in him years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's taking y'all so long.
Last quick point.
Sure.
I think there's one young man who could turn around Jay Cutler's career, and his name is Kevin White. And you know how much I liked him in the draft. He went 7th to Chicago. Mari Cooper went 4th to the Raiders. I think Kevin White can have such a dramatic early impact. He's hurt right now. He's got a shin splint issue, but I think he's going to be okay when the real games start. I think he is going to have such quick impact that maybe he could lift Jay Cutler.
I don't believe it because nobody supported Jay Cutler as a brother more than Brandon Marshall. And if you can't come to the aid of Brandon Marshall and you leave him to hang and dry like that, how the hell some rookie coming from West Virginia going to convince you otherwise? Please. I have no faith in Jay Cutler. Zero.
Had the pleasure to meet Kevin White, though.
Yeah.
Very
He's
nice.
big time.
Very
He's
nice
gonna
kid.
be big time.
But to your point, it's so hard to root for somebody that has the talent and doesn't want to work the other way, the underdog
Doesn't
who
want it
doesn't,
back.
and then is the first one in, last one out. More First Take from New England after the break. Patriots camp. We're having fun. We're getting toasty here.
I'm not sure I like what you just said. I think you got a lot more to say. I think you got a lot more to say. You know a lot more about Jay Cutler. But I'm going to leave it at that.